indoors without a mask is about whether he was following protocols in the Packers facilities. What's the league's fact-finding?
The guy in the all blue suit is the I love you kind of guy, the player.
It's not going to be easy.
You know, the coach is I love you kind of guy. The guy in the blue underneath Max.
High-ranking executive yesterday about their COVID protocols they had violated, and the league came in and investigated. And they said that, look, the league is essentially going to come in and say, hey, we need all the surveillance footage from all of the common areas within your building, and they'll have to go ahead and turn over those.
All of a sudden, Kyrie Irving, he takes a shot. He's Muslim,
he knows that they have,
and whichever sect he's in. And Stephen A. has a problem with it, as you can see. Even though he didn't say it, it just shows, because I don't think Aaron Rodgers is Muslim, and I don't think Stephen A. is either.
Aaron Rodgers was not wearing a mask, and in that situation, the rules state that you can't be an unvaccinated player at a function that has 3 other players involved. So there's little things like that, and I don't know if LaFleur, for instance, is following all the rules or knows all the rules because they have an official in place that's job is to do that. It's a complicated situation. It's a nuanced one, but it's one that ultimately the league will look into every facet of with the Green Bay Packers.
Louis Rodgers can't return until the earliest, the 13th. Packers have a game the next day. They're chasing that top seed and the bye that comes with it, only one per conference. How are you feeling right now if you're in that locker room?
Look, it's always about being accountable to your teammates, being available to your teammates, making the same kind of sacrifices that the rest of the team is making. And look, I know that Aaron Rodgers is someone who carries a lot of weight around that place, and someone who, right now, up to this point, has been able to affect every single part of that organization in a way that no one else on that football team can. So as a teammate, you know, you may not be willing to step up and say, hey, look, let's just make sure that all of us are operating, you know, with the same goal in mind here, and make sure that we're all conforming in a very uniform way. But I think privately, you know, I think as a teammate, I would be very disappointed at this point in time that here's an individual who we know is really going to be the engine that drives us to whatever goals that we
Is this for tickets?
ourselves before the season started. Which
I mean, the NFL crowd is not really the NBA
he's
crowd.
not going to be available now simply because of the fact that he's
So now
he's
Kyrie
not
Irving.
vaccinated. He's someone who took that risk, was willing to take that risk.
How does
was willing to
Kyrie
make that
look?
Choice, and
Can
now
Kyrie
come
go
back
to Boston?
And
Can he go back to
there may
Boston
be
now? Everybody,
even further
America, white people,
ramifications from
black
an
people,
organizational
Hispanic
standpoint
people,
that come down the pipe.
indigenous people.
That because of the fact that
Can Asian people? Can Kyrie go
procedures
back to
were not
Boston now?
followed to the letter. And see, that's just disappointing overall, because
Or
we
does
all
he have
know
to play for
that in a
Brooklyn?
team environment like the NFL and any team environment, it's all about doing what is best for the team. And we're going to find out whether or not Aaron Rodgers in particular did what was best for the team in terms of how he conducted himself inside the halls of that particular organization. And if it's deemed that he did not do what was best for the team, then the NFL should come down very, very, very harshly on this organization and on this individual, just like they have for other people for similar infractions. And that's just the way it goes. And that, again, getting back to your original question, would disappoint me greatly, because we all know what we were dealing with as a teammate heading into this season. We all know what the rules were. And when you kind of thumb your nose at them and you take risks, and then it comes back to bite the rest of us, you're naturally going to be pissed off about it.
Yeah, he made his choice, but there are now costs associated with that choice. And he didn't want to pay the price of the choice. And it may turn out that
Very
the
clean
team
on what he's saying.
didn't make him pay that price. I wonder if they have his back now, if that actually...
Why is he not
raises
coming
the
down with the
chances
hammer
he
on
stays in
Aaron
Green Bay
Rodgers,
in a weird
please?
way, maybe could wind up helping him.
They came down on Kyrie. This is this white people shit. And now look below
what
him.
your take is on this situation. What's your take
The
on
black
the
man is
Aaron
laughing.
Rodgers situation?
Let's listen.
Yeah, well, I look at it from a player in the locker room's perspective, and I honestly don't think that the players in the locker room are that as concerned as people in the media are. And here's why I say that. I assume a lot of the guys in the locker room knew that Aaron Rodgers wasn't vaccinated, right? Everyone's saying, you make your decision, I'll make mine. If you want to get a vaccine, then great. If you're not, I get it, right? So in the locker room, it's about, are you helping me win games? In this case, Aaron Rodgers is going to be out against Kansas City. He will not be able to help them win that game. But also there have been other cases, like a guy like Devontae Adams, who was out last week, and they found a way to win. And so when it comes to like what we're hearing on the outside, there's a lot of talk and a lot of noise, a lot of anger and frustration, and in a lot of ways, rightfully so. But from the guys in that locker room, I don't think they feel the same kind of angst, anger, frustration, doubt, any of that about their quarterback. They're like, hey, man, get healthy and be back with us in a week and a half so we can go and win our next game. So that's what I think guys in the locker room care about as opposed to anyone else.
I think you may be right about that. If Rodgers misses one game and Jordan Love holds it down, listen, let him miss more than 2 games and Jordan Love doesn't hold it down, then I'm not
See
so
how
sure,
playful it
Sam,
is?
but maybe right now. You might be right about
Yeah,
that. Thank you, guys. Odell Beckham
I got
Jr.
it.
has been
He
excused
got
from
this
practice
shot.
for a
Now
second
all of a sudden
straight
he
day.
don't got
He's
it.
excused absences.
But Kyrie can't play 42 games and missed out on, what, $86 million? Or maybe more than that? $126 million? And then an extension or something like that?
But listen to Odell's teammates today on their interest in getting OBJ back.
Let's look at color barrier.
We don't know what the situation is. You know, we don't know what's really going on. You know, we probably know as much as you guys know from outside the building. But, you know, if he wants to come back and be part of the team, you know, I'm sure we welcome with open arms.
You see how football is different than the NBA?
You know, I don't think the guys in the locker room know exactly
Do you see this?
Yes, it's a story, yes.
It's cool. Why? Because they outside playing football.
For us, like,
And sometimes in the dome.
There's injuries that happen, there's suspensions, there's
And in the
things that
basketball
happen
gym,
in football, and it's
it is what it is. Which one is it? You gotta say it instead of, you know what I'm saying? Instead of showing
Obviously, we talk about it, we figure things out, and I think
your side, your inner true side, and what you represent.
We gotta go out there and play with the guys we have.
Because you're either trying to get busy and win a championship.
Sam Acho will be back with us in a
We
little
need a
bit.
chip.
Lou, the Browns excused
We need a
OBJ
chip.
today from his second
We need a
consecutive
ring,
practice.
trophy,
And while some
all
of his
of that.
teammates seem to want him back in that locker room, how do you see the whole thing playing out?
Look, of course, players are going to
Very neutral. He's very neutral without Stephen A. Smith.
Yeah, if you come back, we'll welcome
Very,
him.
very
But at the same
neutral.
time, as you
Very
said
bland
right there,
without
yeah,
Stephen
well,
A.
if
Smith.
he isn't back, we
Now
can
they
go out and play
surround
the guys
him
who are here.
with a bunch of
We just
people
gotta keep
he
moving on.
probably complained
And so, look,
about
I think in that
during his time at
regard,
First
if I'm
Take.
Andrew Berry, and I'm the general
Marcus
manager of
Spears
the
for
football team
one.
right now, this
The
isn't
other
just a
two
one-off
football
type of
players.
situation where now we're just dealing with one isolated incident.
You can
of
tell
a parent
maybe
posting
Molly got written
video
up
on
also
Instagram about all the times that his son was over
behind closed
and how
doors,
Baker
obviously,
Mayfield is
right?
failing him, he's not fit
But
enough
watch
to
how
be
the
the man.
leverage
This
works.
isn't a one-time incident. This is something that's been brewing. We've been talking about the fact that the chemistry doesn't seem to be there. They haven't really logged the time off the field in order to build that kind of chemistry. And this is a match that isn't quite working. And quite honestly, last year they were a better football team when he wasn't on the field because the offense ran more organically on the field. And then off the field, they didn't have to answer these kind of questions whenever Odell wasn't getting the touches or the targets that he's accustomed to getting. So to me, this is an addition by subtraction type of situation. And let me make sure I state this too. I have always been a big supporter of Odell Beckham Jr. Always. As a matter of fact, from the time that he got traded away from the New York Giants, I said I would have worked to have kept him in New York had I been there in New York, in a hypothetical situation. And I would have wanted to work with a guy like this because he's a very unique talent. But at the same time, when things aren't working from a chemistry standpoint, Max, and it's really detrimental to your offense and your football team overall, it's time to move on. It's now going to be up to Andrew Berry to decide when is the best time for the team to move on from a financial responsibility standpoint in terms of the guaranteed money left on his contract for this year, and could they wind up offloading this contract in a situation where they waive him, a team claims him, but maybe that's something that you have to do a couple weeks down the road to make it more palatable for a team to go ahead and claim him. But if I didn't feel like that was going to work either, I would just cut him and I would move on, and I would take the loss and move on.
Jeff Darlington, if Odell becomes available, what team could you see realistically making a run at him?
Well, there's several teams, Max, and quite frankly, we can look at some of the logical landing spots like the Saints and the Raiders. Kimberly Martin reporting that the Saints had trade interest in him already. The question becomes what team is willing to pick him up off of waiver claims. And the way that works is that you order them 1 to 32, worst to best in terms of their records. So ultimately, these teams will all have a shot at him. They'll have to pick up that salary. If no team claims him off waivers, then Beckham becomes a free agent and can choose.
Notice religion.
You could have teams like the Raiders.
Beckham wears the
that obviously
cross.
now needs
Kyrie doesn't wear the cross. The Vax is the cross. Aaron Rodgers, is he the Jew? Is he Judas? Yes, Judas.
To be able to choose his team,
according to certain people's religion. Really think about what I'm saying.
That could be an option.
Listen to my content. Understand. I'm bringing you underneath to understand something. If the bridge is burnt, you have to use the tunnel. They trying to live underground.
Well, it would be about time Brady got
for some specific reason.
You know, guys, like about time. Antonio Brown,
like a fake storm,
Godwin,
MK Ultra, Project
What he
Blue.
needs is another. There are so many quarterbacks and so many. He needs another great receiver for free, basically. Thanks, guys. Coming up, Todd McShay and Louis Riddick break down Jordan Love. What's